What's happening, guys, out there, YouTube land? Rockin' Dave, North Fort Myers, Southwest Florida, and that's exactly where I happen to be in our lanai. Down here they call it a lanai. It's kind of like a patio. It's raining. It's like it always rains down here. But happy Sunday, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Good seeing everyone out there. R2, R3 locking nut. Love that Jackson guitar, dude. Always loved the Jackson Kellys, man. They're like one of my favorite Jacksons, you know. Awesome, awesome shape. Great guitar. Got Dry Heat 480. We got RJD Man, or RJD Mad One. What's happening, my friend? Thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. David Enos, what's happening, man? Always good to see you, buddy. How's everything going out for everyone out there? I know in some places it's cold, it's snowy. Down here, I'm not trying to say anything because it's like 75 degrees, but the dew point down here is probably like 72 or close to it. So it's real muggy down here, man. You can't escape it. Sometimes it's a little bit rough on your instruments too, man. You know, things don't really stay in tune. I thought I bust out the Gibson. I want to thank everyone for participating in the friendly guitar challenges I've been putting up. And we have the Picker's Hat that he's been doing some really cool stuff with the metal challenge, and then just recently the friendly hard rock challenge. And I'll see if I reshoot that, because I thought he did a great job, and if I need to reshoot it, I'll do that again. Same chord progression. Because sometimes when you're real close, because as a lot of you know, I do everything right from the phone. And I have the mic, that usually have the amp set up behind the phone, but then sometimes it'll pick up my picking attack. And sometimes you'll hear more of the electric guitar, you know, kind of like this, you know. You know, then you'll hear And then you'll hear the amp like way in the background, you know. So just post it. Let's see. Check out what we got going on. Yeah, just posted my Sunday videos. 2 new pedals. I gotta check that out, RJ. I know. What do you guys think of these? TC Electronics, this new series that they got out from Guitar Center. I have the Echo Brain pedal. Got Star Wars on my mind. I don't have my Star Wars shirt on. I'm starting to call that my official Pooh Ninja shirt. I have this shirt right here, Relay for Life. It's a cancer benefit we did with RUI, with my vocalist Mike G, the one and only Mike G. And we got invited for next year's, which will be, I think it'll be in April. And so I like to kind of support functions that we do and all that. Jason Wade, what is happening, buddy? Good seeing you, man. I plugged right into the Yamaha THR10C. C is for the classic amp. Mellow Mick, what's happening, man? No snow. Yeah, no snow. Here's the thing down here, guys. All right. Thanksgiving. Thank God I'm able to kind of remember and just put it up on YouTube or on Facebook, because it's like an endless summer down here, and it's nice, but it really is hard to get used to, because being from Chicago, we have the change of seasons, so we know it's kind of like, if you don't look at your calendar, just take a look outside, and you see snow, or the leaves are turning or something, you know what I mean? So you got to have a little bit of indicator what's going on, but down here it's either rain or more rain or a hurricane or hot. It's hot and then it gets hotter, But yeah, like I said, I want to thank everyone for the participates in all these friendly guitar challenges. Again, the Picker's Hat, if you have not subscribed to him, please do so, man. Great guy. I think he's from Germany. So he's got a great style, man. He's got a nice studio, too. And he's got that new Fender, I forget what it's called. Maple fretboard, colored black or ebony black inlays on the maple fretboard, and the natural wood finish. So really, really great guitar and great guitar player. Janice, good. I'm glad you tuned in. I checked out those videos, and I will be putting some solo to it, and I'll put it up on YouTube. So really love your stuff. See, all of this, it inspires me. When I see other people play, because to me, how I look at things, it's a different point of view. We all know how we all sound when we play, right? We have our what do you call it? Kind of like our signature style, our signature licks, and we may start chord progressions basically the same. You know what I mean? So when we hear other people play, it doesn't matter what it is that they're doing. It's the fact what they're doing is different, because it's a different person. If that makes any sense, So when I watch people play, I don't necessarily sit there. Oh, they're not shredding, or they're not playing flamenco real fast, or they're not playing these fast, funky rhythms. Or they're not doing this, and I don't look at that. I just look at them for who they are, and I'm like, that's pretty interesting, So that's always how I've learned, watching other people play, watching good people play, watching people that were different, maybe just starting out, but they're going to do something that's going to spark you to hit the guitar, either, especially when you're younger. Everyone likes to challenge each other when they're younger, you know what I mean? It's all part of the growth process. And this is what I mean by even an absolute beginner. They're going to do something that's going to put the bug in you to say, okay, I think I could do that better. And you know what? I don't want to say that as an egotistical statement. I want to say that as what a person doesn't realize is that beginner just inspired someone like myself that's been playing for 44 years. And it's going to inspire me to pick up my guitar and try to hit the strings. So in essence, that beginner or that person that's deemed to have very little technique, or they can't this or they can't that, isn't it funny? Someone like that inspires, a person that's been playing probably longer than their parents have been alive. So that's why I always value people. I always value what they got. I hope you guys could hear me, because we got rain coming down, and sometimes I feel like I gotta talk loud. I know that they're starting to come out with more and more devices for these phones, where you could start to see the meter, the levels go up and down, which I think that's a cool thing. Because I think what's happening is everyone is realizing that we are so mobile, this generation. We're not just sitting in a studio anymore, or sitting in the luxury of our own home. We're out and about, And what becomes the most convenient thing is the cell phone. I do know that for like audio, I know you have the iRig, but also I seen a video of Blue microphones, and they have what's called the Blue Mikey. It looks like a little square mic. It's about maybe this big, and it literally just pops into the headphone, of your phone. And it does have a level. It's got a microphone, but it also has an input jack if you want to run in any line device. This would be considered a line source. It does. I don't think it has any guitar effects or anything like that. So you would have to use your external effects, which that's fine. I'm all right with that. But again, it goes directly into the phone, and you get a good clean audio. And I think they're only like $30, but I'm trying to find where I could get one. You know what I mean? So let's see what. Look at this. Oh yeah, you're very welcome, Janice. Yeah, definitely. I like what you're doing. You see, I got a horrible voice, guys. I can't sing with a crap. I never. If anyone asks me what is my biggest fear, it's singing. I don't even like to hear my. Yeah, sounds like Riders on the Storm. Yeah, R2RC, which is interesting. That's one of the songs Mike and I are going to be doing. We got like a whole new list of songs we'll be going over. And this Wednesday, I've got a Christmas gig party to play at for a corporation. I don't think I'll be able to put it live on YouTube. I might be able to do a couple of recordings and put it up. I have to see if I get the permission for that from the company I got hired for. But yeah, it's gonna be a Christmas party. But yeah, no. Here's the thing. But I'm enjoying sucking at guitar. You know what? That's interesting, Jason. There's things that I don't know how to do. Of course. I'm not an expert in everything. I like the styles that I could play, and I play them fairly well. And the reason why I don't say anything, I try not to say anything bad about anybody. I don't believe in devaluing people, basically. But what you think that you might suck at something, someone else, we look at it differently. But it's just interesting. You just enjoy. You said the key word, you enjoy. You enjoy playing. I'm going to tell you guys something. And this is just my point of view, but it's my point of view being, playing out there professionally. Whether it's in clubs, whether it's in a corporate event, a wedding, we done this all professional. Anyways, I don't want to go into that. But my point is, if you look like you're enjoying yourself, you're going to touch those people out there. You're not going to please everyone all the time. But when you try to fake it, then it looks like, okay, this is a script. You ever see these reality shows? And some of these reality shows, it's like, this ain't reality. There's a script behind all this, Michael Bishop, what is happening? Good to see you, man. Yes, I have an EQ on my new phone. Janice, that's great. I do know there's these apps you can download on your phone. So, you see, everything is starting to really start to evolve with these phones, because they're starting to realize, people are doing so much on YouTube right from their phone. And I think that has caused these companies to start to step it up and say, hey, let's see what we could do with our technology, and, what our engineers could come up with. And, I think it's a great thing. Let's see. Yeah, I like to sing, but for some reason other people don't like mellow music. Well, at least you like it, right? Me, I'm just flat out afraid of it. I mean, it sounds crazy. I have no problem. I used to be put this. I used to be like really shy and with a little bit like withdrawn when I was in high school and that. But I was trying to evaluate what I wanted to do. You're growing, you're young, you know what I mean? So you're just watching everything and just trying to take everything in. But later on, when we would do these guitar clinics and we'd speak in colleges, when that was at North Central College, we've done a couple of seminars over there, and I'll never forget this. We go to talk to the dean, the head of the school, and I'm feeling a little bit nervous because, I don't even have a college degree, I've got trade school certificates, and my joke is always I went to Sidewalk University, So I'm talking with the dean, and we're talking, and I just flat out said, basically, my experiences in life is just right out there in the real world, and this is what we have, and this is what we've done, and these were the results from me making mistakes, but I'll tell you what I've learned from them. And I've had to, step it up real quick, because when you're doing stuff live out there, everything's got to be quick, and you gotta fix a mistake, boom, on the spot, And he said that's what he wanted me to talk, because it's not scripted, it's real. So I was very honored and very flattered. So when we were given our advice, and it was just from our point of view, our personal experiences, I saw the expression on some of these kids' faces, and they were like, hey, that makes sense. And it wasn't to devalue the teaching or anything like that, because I would tell them, you're in school, always do what the teacher tells you, if it's legal, of course, and moral. But, always do what you need to do to pass the test and to get your degree in that, because it will go a long way. But never devalue when people come from a different point of view, like the real world, because this is how it really is out there, And I think it went over really good. That's why we got asked to come back and give another, a lecture, demo, and that. Because it's just real. It's not scripted, My biggest fear is to die on the creeper and peeps find me with Suave train wreck. I like watching your videos, Suave. You and Ed Dana, and I like watching everyone's videos, But you got that point of view that's like, you know what, this is what it is, and hey, you like it, fine. You don't like it, fine. I like that approach. Yeah, as far as a goal, I would like to write some songs and sing enough that I can do either. Yeah, everyone's got goals. Some people, their goal is just to enjoy what they're doing. This is their leisure time, We're in a different time now where, let's see. I'm trying to catch up on some of these chats, guys. Okay, that one. Watch later. Yeah, right. It's interesting because some people, their goal is just to enjoy. Right now we've got a good platform with YouTube, where if we want exposure, we just come here and boom, and the whole world sees us at their leisure, of course. Whenever they want, and but the reality is, it goes around the world. And where yesterday, I'll give you a good example. Deb and I, we had our date day, and kind of this is like our date weekend, which is great because we don't have to feel like we're gonna run all over the place. So we went to see the movie Bohemian Rhapsody yesterday, and I thought it was really well done. I thought what really was interesting to me was the performance and the negotiation with the contracts with the record label. That was really cool to see that. Plus, the thing is, if you've ever noticed, and a lot of us were at the age where we're in our mid-50s or getting close to it, we remember a time when bands wanted their own individuality. They wanted their own sound. They weren't trying to jump on a bandwagon here or there, you know, they were them. And that's what I miss about music today. It's like, you know, when the sweep picking got popular, everyone got to get on sweep picking. When the tapping, everyone's on the tapping, you know. And I'm not knocking it because everyone is going to approach it differently. But it wasn't like back then. You know, Ed Dana could also testify to this because he's been playing longer than me. I think some of you people also have been playing longer than me. I started in '74, but, you know. But the point is, we come from that time where Led Zeppelin, you knew Led Zeppelin. You knew when Queen came on. You knew when Kansas came on. Or all these other bands, you know. They had their own signature sound and style. And at that time, it was kind of a catch-22 because you had record companies that, yeah, they could screw you over, but at the same time, there was a demand to go out to see concerts. There was this demand to go out and mingle with people. You know what I mean? Because we did not have YouTube and, you know, the PC. I remember, you know, when I started playing, beta tapes were not even out. Or if they were not in the Chicagoland area or where I grew up. I didn't start seeing, you know, beta tapes like maybe very late '79, maybe 1980 or something like that. So it was a different time. Now, you know, the record companies, those that are left, they kind of really got you because now they want to manufacture into something else. You know, Melamick watching football. Yeah, I hear you, man. Jason Wade enjoyed yesterday's video on my kind of music thing. Oh, that's really cool. See, this is what I mean. I'll tell you what, guys. On my channel, everyone is always welcome, and always welcome to sub to each other. If you have an announcement that you wanted to post up, that you got something coming up on your channel, absolutely. Because I don't own Google, and I don't own YouTube, you know? So for me to say, no, you cannot, I mean, that's kind of being hypocritical because I've always wanted to start this channel for the unsigned artists, the gigging musicians, the people that always get like left behind, the people that are shoved aside, because that always happened to me, you know. And I know there's really great musicians out there, and there's really great people out there that should never be devalued, you know. So that's why I say, go ahead, you know, use this platform. That doesn't bother me. You know? In fact, this is what it's all about. Sorry to hear that, Janice. Now I feel like a heel. Okay, let's see. RJ, that happened to my uncle. Yeah. Well, hopefully it's nothing bad. I mean, see, this is what I mean. When people's house goes down, that's even not what you do, right? I hope that's not too. I got the phase shifter on this little Yamaha amp. This particular model Yamaha, it's the black one. The dark green one is for the metal. The one that's called the X series, that's for metal. This is the C series for classic amps. But the effects in here are all mostly analog. So I've got enough digital stuff. I wanted to try this thing, you know what I mean? And I got this thing for like $100, right from Guitar Center, you know? So, which was great. But yeah, I gotta catch up on the chat. You see, I get yakking and I forget where the hell I'm at. Yeah. Sorry, I'm late. Oh no, hey, Judd Luffhouse, you're always welcome, man. To the party. Hi all. My goal, Dave, is to get out of the box. Okay, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. I hope you guys can see this because I know that box of like the pentatonic. We always learn it in A, right? If you move it in G, it's going to be the same concept of a 1-4-5. You in B, same thing. In E. One of the easiest ways to start yourself getting out of this box, and it doesn't matter where you're on the fretboard. If you look at the high E and B string, these two. Now this right here, because I'm in the 5th fret position, my notes are descending down. C, B-A-G-F-E. All natural notes. The fingering pattern is pinky, third finger, index, pinky, middle, and index finger. And then I can continue to climb up. I'll turn this down a bit. Not too loud. But what you could do, it's not so much how many scales and modes that you learn, because the best way to learn all this stuff is at a pace that's comfortable for you. When you try to jam everything into your head, then it's like overload, and some people can learn things faster than others. Sometimes I don't learn things that quick, But the best way to approach soloing is literally, it's like you're talking. That's why they call it phrasing, So if I take this box scale, there's a lot that you could do with just very little notes, but how you play those notes, if that makes sense. There's nothing worse than GTV. That's another one. GTV. I'm gonna also do your challenge too, buddy. Yeah, I saw you what you posted. And what's the guy? How could Infurious? Oh, I'm so sorry. Sometimes I forget names. But he did your challenge, and he put up a video. Actually, for EJ's The Inner Circle. So I'm gonna start hitting GTVs. And of course, Janice put all that in. Whatever you guys put on, just the whole thing is to share, And I really appreciate the comments, the kind comments about that inspired people to play and to start doing these friendly challenges. Because if you think about it, what it also is doing is getting people to understand that to write original music, it really is a bunch of chord progressions. And first and foremost is going to be the expression, the feeling that you get when you play. The theory behind everything in music, it's good to know. I have a hard time understanding it. That's why I know all my notes that's laid out on the fretboard. Because to me, when I get together with other musicians, with guitar players and bass players, we could say we're on the 3rd fret, or we're on the 5th fret, but starting with the D string, the A string, But when you got to get together with a keyboard player, they don't have frets. So, and I've been very fortunate with a lot of the keyboard players I played with. They don't really start to talk in terms too much about this formula, or it's augmented, or it's flatted, or it's 7th, or it's this, or it's that. And if they have, I would say, okay, but what is your notes? And then instantly they know where their note is at. And I always ask them above or below middle C on the staff, because that's your middle C on the staff. That's what separates actually treble clef going into the alto clef. But in basic, like pop music, when you get the sheet music and you got the treble clef, then you got the bass clef. And it'll be in the books that have for guitar, piano, and vocals. That's where you can really see this. You got the treble clef separating the bass clef. That's basically what it is. That's your middle C on the staff. It's on the 3rd fret A string. It's also on the 8th fret on the low E string. That's all. If you got a 7-string guitar, it sets you over on other frets, right? So for me, I look at it. I just use music theory as a communication device. And whenever I don't understand a formula, what are your notes? And boom, I can find them. Like, okay, honestly, guys, you might know this more than me. I can't remember what they call this chord. Okay, I kind of use it for like bossa nova, Latin jazz type. I know I could call it a D chord because I'm starting with D. But if I were to analyze, what are my notes? I mean, I could find it in a book and then write it down and maybe remember it. But if right on the spot, like right now, okay, I could say it this. This is my pitch, my notes in order, low to high. So in other words, if I go like this, that's low to high, right? There's my D. That note is D. That note is F sharp. That note is a C sharp. Right there, where my 3rd finger is, that is E. And that's how maybe you guys can see, because I know I've got a little reflection with the real brilliant, right? Face the camera that way, but now I'm washed out and you can't see what's going on here, you know. But anyways, that's how I get my method of communicating. Because see, first and foremost, I'm a performer. So as a performer, you know, you gotta make it sound as flawless as possible, and then in rehearsals you gotta get the job done. Because when you're doing show after show after show, and if there are different types of shows you're doing, you don't have time really to start reciting a lecture. Now I'm not saying that's not important, but how many of you ever watched some of these videos, and just be honest, you watch these videos and they're trying to explain something, it's like, even if it's myself too, I'm not gonna get offended. But you probably figure, what the hell is this guy talking about? You know, augmented the 13th, flattered the 14th. No one talks about the tenths, no, you know. And I'm making light of it. I'm not trying to take pot shots at these people, because I think they do deserve the respect for all that, you know, hard work and studying. But I personally been in situations at these rehearsals where I got looked down upon, and that was my issue with some of those people. And maybe they didn't mean it. And then when I could tell they didn't mean it, okay, I understand. You had to learn that terminology, because when you're in school, you have tests you have to take, and you have to study. You have to cram all this information in your head because you want to pass. So 100%, I agree with when some of these people, what they have to do. But in the real world, when they would do it as a device to show that they're smarter than everybody else, it's like, wait when you get on that stage and the guy with the beer says, dude, what the hell are you talking about? Just play, you sound horrible, you know? That's reality. And I know a lot of us have been there. And if they haven't, they're going to lie to you, because then maybe that's playing in the school where it's in front of a bunch of intellectuals, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because there's good people out there. But you get some of these people that, man, they'll devalue you because, you know, you forgot where A and B was at. I won't devalue anybody. I forget things too. I'm human. I put my drawers on one leg at a time like everybody else. And then look at this. Look how far back I'm on it. My goal is to actually finish writing a song in 2019. GTV. I'm a little bit behind the chats, and I apologize about this, guys. Gasper Boo, what's happening? If you're out there, good to see. Yeah. Always good to see everybody. Okay, so, GTV. Your goal is to finish writing a song. Okay. Let me ask everyone out there. When you think of writing a song, do you think about the feeling that you get from the chord progression? Or let's say, put it this way. Because we're all guitar players here, right? Or most of us are guitar players here. Your guitar or your instrument. But when you pick up your guitar, and is it like, okay, I got this chord progression. And then you feel like you're stuck, right? And you're trying to find out, oh, what can I do next to it? Sometimes you have to pull back a little bit and, you know, analyze it and play around with it, you know. And, you know, you're going to add other parts to it and then record yourself. And then listen to the playback, and if it says, okay, I'm not feeling it, you know, there's something not right here. Well, that right there is going to tell you on that second half, maybe that's not the right chord progression. But if the first chord progression, yeah, you're like really into it, you're on your way to write your own song. You know, because first and foremost, you have to kind of convey a certain amount of an expression and emotion. Because that's really what music is. You know, the theory and the analytical side is the explanation and a way to communicate with people. That's really what that is. But music as itself, especially instrumental music, it's always going to try to convey or project a certain emotion. And first and foremost, you as a player, and I know this is going to sound funny for some, or some people I've talked to. I don't think it's going to sound funny to all of you out there. You have to enjoy it first and foremost. Because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to convince people of what you're playing that you like what you're playing. If that makes sense. It's kind of like a used car salesman. A used car salesman, if he, excuse me, if he tells you everything wrong with the car, you know, he doesn't believe in the product. How is he gonna get you to believe in the product, right? That's how that is. So I know there are some people that will try to tell you, no, you don't understand, because in theory this doesn't fit with that, and so it's not really a song. So, and this is where people start to feel like they're getting shot down, and they start to lose the confidence in their songwriting ability. When really, in reality, you are trying to project an emotion, and always remember, you are not going to please everybody 100%. You could play every Beatles song perfect. You could play every Led Zeppelin song perfect. Every Elvis song perfect. Every Rolling Stones song perfect to the T. And I guarantee there's going to be some people that are going to say, yeah, that's nice, but I don't like it. And that's just life, you know. So I think what happens is we get that like first punch of rejection. And it's kind of a hard blow at that too. Sometimes it's good because that's what will strengthen you up. But sometimes that hurts a person so bad that they just lose all hope and they say, oh, this ain't for me. I'll never get it, you know? And then that's when they stop growing and stop trying because, yeah, they're right. They will never get it. But the only reason why they'll never get it is because they stopped, you know? And I remember all the years teaching, I would always try to encourage my students, do what you really like. I had one student in particular, older guy. He liked playing electric blues. So his friend told him, no, you got to buy an acoustic guitar first. You got to build up the fingers and say, well, you know, you can build the fingers up all you want. But isn't it, his comeback was, yeah, but I don't like playing acoustic. Why should I spend about, you know, between $200 to $300 on an acoustic guitar if it's going to just sit? They wasted $200 to $300. Why don't I just buy something that I like and try to play the music that I like to listen to? And within all that, you're going to learn notes, you know? So I would always try to teach my students what their favorite song was. But then I always would show them, right from the get-go, I'd give them this piece of paper that had all the notes on the fretboard. And I would tell them, don't let this intimidate you. Look at it at your convenience. And I would write out exercises. And actually, one of the exercises, I'll do it on the low E string, was all natural notes, but how you get your alternate picking technique together and how you get your fingering together. It's kind of like a walking bass line. And literally, I would do something like this. Real simple. I tell them just do it nice and comfortable. Don't rush it, because you're going to develop your fingering to the point where, as time goes on, you'll have so much control. Because when you have to play something slow, and you'll notice this, people that play fast all the time, when you have to play something slow, they have a hard time with those tempos. And at first, yeah, that's the trouble I was having. I have, I was like back in 1985. I remember I recorded this tape where I was this man blazing up and down the fretboard. I couldn't believe, when I listened to the playback of that tape, I couldn't believe that was me playing, because I got that fast. But there was something that was bugging me about it that I didn't like, and I started to sacrifice my phrasing. You know, they call this phrasing. So we just play a few notes and a vibrato. A couple of times you're hitting that note. In other words, I was not leaving space. You know what I mean? Because sometimes what makes music is that space. And that's when I started to realize that I could sit here and really, obviously dominate, but really start to bust those levels again with my speed. I know I can, because I know how I got fast the first time. It's not going to take that much for me to do it the second time, to take it those next levels. But I also like playing classical guitar. I also like playing flamenco style guitar. When we were doing all these gigs and we had a vocalist, I'd get hired out to do all these other types of music. And I remember one of the guys at the Warehouse Church in Aurora, Illinois, which he passed away a few years back, God rest his soul. His name was George Byer. He called me one time and he says, Dave, you know, out of all the musicians that's come through the Warehouse Church, you're among one of the fewest that you could play these different styles. And when you play them, it's almost as if that's the only style you play. You really put like your all into it, you know? And I told him, my out of my own ignorance, when I was developing my technique, I remember trying to mimic, you know how back then the records with the songs would fade out? So if I'm doing something like this, let's say this is the chord that's at the end of the song, you know, so the record, you know, fades out. So I would just, with my own hands, you know, naturally, you have to play it softer. So I would always approach it as if it fits that particular song. And he said, that's, you know, again, that, and I told him that's how I was able to get all this work, you know. And I hope this is not going on a tangent, but when my point is that a good musician is something that could play any style, even if it's just one style that they like, but they could play it very well. If, put it this way, if you could sit on your front porch in the summertime, you know, or go to a party and you bring out your guitar and you start playing and people listen to you and you could draw them in just from what you're playing, you're a good guitar player. That right there is the bottom line. That right there is the bottom line. It's not going to matter how much, you know, you might know, which it's how you convey. Because again, music is going to be expression of emotion. See, I'm working on your challenge. R2R3, hey, I know you, excuse me, I know you guys are gonna do great because again, it's all your point of view. That's something that I don't think about. You know, that's what intrigues me. You see, I get these notices. That's why I see my finger going like that. I apologize, guys. I'm not just a guitar player. I'm a fan, and I will always, forever, be a fan of music. You know, so when I watch other people play, it just draws me in, and I thank God for that because it takes me back to when I was just a kid. Man, it was like was it like late 1969? I was a little kid. We had all these hippies living in the apartment complex, and they'd set up their guitars and amps and start playing. And it was like that wow factor, like wow, this is cool, you know. That's never left me. So when I watch other people play, I don't judge a person by their ability. I don't judge a person by their popularity because that's to me that could be a big turnoff because sometimes people get popular over stupid things, you know. I don't, or if they got a gazillion subscribers on their channel, none of that really affects me. I look at the content, you know, and if they're doing good and if I like it, I'll be a big fan. Period. You know, if it's something I don't like, maybe it's just that particular video, but maybe they'll have something down the road. You know what I mean? So that's how I look at things. Let's see. Nobody ever mistook the band Chicago for anyone else. That's right. Yeah, Dry Heat 480. See, that's what I mean. Back then, bands had their own unique sound. Oh yeah, the bands that really, let's see, yeah, RJD. Let's see, the bands that really made me think about how music could be made was the bands Yes and Primus. Yeah, see? And you know what all this stuff is? Okay. So, and I've said this before, I started playing guitar. I had guitar lessons in grade school. But see, my dad would play motion picture soundtrack. And then we also had Ramsey Lewis, who's a jazz piano player. And Ramsey Lewis and which would be actually like my great uncle, I think. Yeah. Or my great uncle. Anyways, someone in my family was best friends with Ramsey Lewis and they would hang out together. So that's why we had the album. And so I would hear the piano and the jazz playing and then I'd hear orchestra playing, motion picture soundtrack. So it was always instrumental music that just, man, hit me hard. And I loved it. And then, of course, with the rock, you know, with, you know, bands like Deep Purple and then Aerosmith's live bootleg and all that. So that's the era that I come from, and then AM radio, you know. But you see, a lot of the progressive rock draws from classical, and where fusion, you know, like Al Di Meola and Return to Forever and Weather Report, you know, it's got the jazz side, but it also will draw from classical and like guitar players like Al Di Meola would, and And we're live. We're live again. What I was just saying is that a lot of like Al Di Meola would draw from a lot of Latin style, classical and flamenco, and then the Latin stuff. So, growing up in Chicago, I've had the blues clubs there. I mean, they were literally down the street from my house, and the jazz clubs literally down the street from my house. So, this is what I was exposed to growing up. And then all the rock and metal clubs, they were further out in the suburbs. R2, R3 Locking Nut remembers the Thirsty Whale, which those are great times, man. Nine Phantoms, what's happening, buddy? I liked watching Nine Phantoms went live a couple of days ago. And the reason why you haven't really seen me on all these live chats a whole lot is because things got really busy with us down here. I drive for the school district. I'm glad I went also in the afternoons because we have a situation with the red tide and the algae in the waters down here. And a lot of people they're like, our busy season right now is getting off to a slow start. Part of it is because the news media, and they have to do what they have to do to warn people. But things are getting better with the red tide down here. It's taking time, and people had canceled some of their reservations. So, Florida is it is a tourist state, but it's also a retirement state. But when the tourism slows down, it affects the hotels, it affects the clubs, the restaurants, and the people that get hit hard the worst are the musicians. Because think about it, if a club can hardly pay their employees and their suppliers, how are they going to pay a band? So that's why it's a little bit. That's why I haven't been so much on YouTube that much like I used to, because when I'm driving, I can't get on the phone. I got that CDL license. I think Joe Wentz Project, he knows what I'm talking about. Now, anyone else that drives. I think GTV, you also drive. But anyone with a CDL license, don't get yourself in trouble, man. You won't like it. Let's see, at phone and guitar only. Let's see. Jason Wade. Terry Cass he was great. Oh my God, yeah. Terry Cass was a great guitarist, He literally accidentally shot himself. James shot great. Hey, James, what's happening, my friend? See, the type's real tiny, and I apologize about that, guys. Awesome guitar. All I have is a really, really cheap version of the Strat and an Epiphone Les Paul GT Special One, and I've been playing for 8 months. I'll tell you what, James. Honestly, we got this guitar at a great price back in 2014. It dropped from $3,000 down to $1,899, and that's when we pounced on it. But I'll tell you what, if it says Fisher Price on the headstock, or the word cheap, yes, it says cheap. You're a beginner. It's no good. It's going to be really, really sad when someone comes with a really, really cheap guitar with cheap tuners, and if it stays in tune, and you got decent pickups. Doesn't have to be the best. Decent pickups, but you got your chops down, or you got your playability down that you can make music on that thing. It's going to be really, really sad when you go up against these super dudes that got all this high-end gear, and they're bragging about, well, I only play this, and that stuff's no good because it's for a beginner, and that sucks, and you just kick their ass on something cheap. That's going to be kind of embarrassing, That's why I never judge a person by their equipment. Never. You don't know what that person is, or even if that person's a beginner right now, you don't know what their ability will be, even 8 to 10 months later, or even a month later. I've had students, this one girl in particular, she had a natural ability to fingerpick. So I was showing her some classical guitar techniques and things of that nature. I would show her literally how to do a tremolo. And she would work with it, and my lessons were an hour long. She would just focus and just do it, and by the end of the lesson, she would have it at a real comfortable pace, but very solid, and she had no problem with it. Or I would show her, and we're live again. But anyways, I would show her how to develop. And naturally in the beginning, she'll do this real nice and even, real nice and even. She'll just sit there and do it. Next thing you know, by the end of the lesson, it's a little bit harder for me to finger pick on the steel screws. But anyways, she would have it so solid that well, it just kind of blew my mind. Some people, they just have that focus factor, and that's really what it is. And it doesn't mean you won't learn anything down the road. It just means how you delegate your time schedule. Now, all of us as adults, a lot of us have busy lives. We have very busy schedules, right? So you have to delegate your time out properly. That's going to be good for you. Never look on, you get on someone's YouTube channel and they're like, they're blazing away. Oh, I'll never be able to get to that. Always look at what you can do. I mean, use it as a source of inspiration. Don't get me wrong, But at the same time, you'll be able to do something that's different that they can do, but your time. If people neglect their personal life, their work schedule, and that your personal life is going to be shot down the tubes, man. So that's why I don't. When I hear these people with these advices, well, you got to do this, that, and the other. Well, first of all, are you in that person's shoes? What does that person have to do out of the day? So give them something that works for them. And that's how my teaching method has always been, because what works for me is not going to work for somebody else. I was just very, very fortunate when I graduated high school, and I started hearing about people like Al Di Meola and all these guitar players that would just. And this was before I heard about Yngwie Malmsteen, because he wasn't really over in the States back in the summer of '81, at least. And man, I would just practice and practice and practice. But I took that time because I knew that later on I might not always have that time. And when you work at something, it becomes part of your routine. Let's see. Sometimes the feeling of your playing will far outweigh your speed and oh, absolutely, old man Dan. I'm glad you tuned in. Thank you so much. Absolutely, 100%. 100%, because think about it. If you're doing something like this, it's that last note that's really going to ring out. You're just going to hear, it's impressive. See, that's what I like about the short speed bursts. Because those notes that are before and after are the ones that's going to really hit a person, If I, let me just pull on the overdrive here. To me, that has just as much of an impact as the speed burst. The speed burst is what will lead into it, But other than that, it's those other notes. Yeah, I'll later phone and guitar. Yeah, you have a good one too, my friend. Anyone that's got to leave, absolutely. Yeah, it definitely does, old man Dan. Hey, Michael B, what's happening? Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Like I said, I apologize for some of like Michael B and EJ's guitars and a few other people that I was trying to coordinate my schedule to do the live hangouts. We'll be able to do that, and I'll send you the message and that. But this is our schedule got real busy, man. And it's sometimes I gotta get up at 3:30 in the morning, and I cannot be caught driving tired. I get into an accident, man. It's so. And I love it, man, because that's actually my me time where I could just kind of like, we all need to get away from things. You can't do it constantly, Because you go you go crazy. Yeah, Jimmy T, what's happening? Yeah, I went live today because yesterday Deb and I got together and we're always together, but we had our date afternoon and then went to see the movie Bohemian Rhapsody. And then we went to lunch with a friend of ours, a girl I went to high school with. She's been down here since 1996, and we had a good time. And then we came back and watched Svengoolie. It felt good. Sometimes you have to just kind of veg a little bit. You know what I mean? So yeah, but this guitar has the pull pots. I know some people have like said, you get a lot of different sounds out of this thing. Yep. That's with the neck tone pot pull out. And I don't know if you remember some of the older Gibsons, they had that rotary switch. You get like this out of phase. You get the coil tapping, but then you get the out of phase. That's what this is. That's coil tapping, and that's its full double pickups. And I got the switch in the middle, so you're hearing, both pickups. So, but yeah, the reality is everyone's goals are different, But I think the best thing to do is set a goal and be realistic about it. If you want to push the envelope and then you don't meet that goal, let's say if you want to learn a specific song, by the end of the week, and you don't meet that goal, well, just evaluate what caused why you didn't meet that goal, and always remember if as adults, you got a lot of things you got to do. Don't try to cram things and don't get so discouraged. Let's see. The people that think, let's see. Yeah, nearly didn't regret your new look. Let's see. No problem. Let's see. Old man Dan. People that think Yngwie just sounds like a typewriter miss that. He usually ties everything together. Yep. With a short bar somewhere. Yeah, he does. Yeah. It'll be real interesting to see Yngwie evolve. Now, okay. He does a lot that's classical influence. And he can do some like groove blues phrasing. But it would be interesting. I've got a live DVD of him playing with the orchestra, and I think that was great. And when he came out in the scene, that was just mind blowing. It was totally awesome, But him as a classical guitarist, I know he's good. But I've even though it was self studying, Deb and I we've joined the Guitar Foundation of America, which is 100% classical guitar. It's not just like speed. You have to have the finesse. You have to know how to touch the notes lightly to evoke that emotion. And I'm not saying that he wouldn't be able to do it. He would have to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to set the electric guitar on the shelf for a while and just concentrate. And then you start listening to people like, famous classical guitarists, Segovia, John Williams, Pepe Romero. But there's a whole generation of guitarists. Anno Vidovic, and of course Sharon Isbin. But I'll tell you what, if you just type in Guitar Foundation of America and you start watching these people, and it's like, holy crap. And you got little kids playing like this. And again, it's not about shred, it's not about a show, it's about the emotion of that particular piece of music. And then Jason Veo, who I think he won a Grammy. We actually met Jason at Wentz Hall in Naperville, Illinois, and we got talking a little bit. And his fingernails like this, but a lot of times they'll glue something on. Here's a tip I've learned. I've learned this from a classical guitarist, Scott Tennant. If you want to really find out finger picking, I have to do it like this as a reference point, okay? Because some people will finger pick on a steel string. My nails are not real super long, but they're not short. If you put your finger here, if you could see this, and your finger doesn't go like this, if it goes like this, the nail is too long. If your finger goes upward, in order for you to feel the nail, then it's too short. Because you still want to be able to feel the string with the flesh. And we've saw Esteban and met him at, let's see, it was at the, oh my God, I can't remember the name of the theater downtown Aurora, Illinois, because I played there. Was it the Apollo Theater? I can't remember. I'll have to look at the archives. But we met him there, and a lot of them will take ping pong balls, cut them up into a shape of a nail, and glue them on their finger, and just to get through, the performance or whatever. I particularly don't like putting anything on my fingers, because when they tear off, and you're like really screwed. And if you're going to rely on this, because this was one way how we were making our money as a guitarist, playing a lot of classical pieces. When you got to rely on your fingernails, you better make sure if you pop that nail, you could still feel the string with the flesh of your finger, so you could get through the piece. Because in the world of classical guitar, you're talking about, you're not gonna get people shouting out "Freebird." You might as a joke, but chances are they're gonna be there to listen and to watch, and that right there becomes critical. You know. Let's see, Jimmy T, Michael B, David E. So again, I'm behind in the chat. Yeah, making some upgrades to the channel. Yeah, I saw that, Jason Wade. I saw the icon. 9 fandoms. How can less be more when more is more? To me, nine fandoms. You know, okay. I agree with you on that terminology, and I agree with Yngwie Malmsteen says. I'm drinking from the Joe Winch Project cup. Got to mention that, my friends. Joe's a great guy. And so is Jim Guidry. Great guitar player, man. Love watching their stuff. But getting back to the more is more, yeah, you're right. The terminology, really, if you could do more with less, you will come out ahead. If you do X amount of shows in a row, and you're dragging all this gear around, you're going to be tired, man. If you have no roadies, or you don't trust roadies because they get drunk and break things, you know, and they got the amp here, but they want to get the girl's number, you know, it's always a girl's number, right? And then drop something. Sorry, dude, you know. If you, at the end of your gigs, you got to pack up the gear, and if you could get more sound out of less gear, you come out ahead all the time. If you could get more results by spending less money, you come out ahead. That's why I always say I don't judge a person by they come out with let's see, a $10,000 guitar with engravements on this, or an amp that's got the special tube that the person on his deathbed was given the schematics of. I mean, I'm not knocking all that, but that's not going to be what's going to determine me to go out and buy something and play something. And I mean, I do like analog stuff a little better than digital, because I like to roll the volume down on the guitar, and that's really the air I come with. I love the tube amps. I've only had two tube amps, Fender Twin Reverb with Altex speakers in it, and before that the Marshall Super Lead 100 series 212 model. Great amps. I miss them, you know, but I could, you know, you get to the point where, all right, I could work with something, I could pull a sound out of it, and I could like, okay, I like that. That's not bad at all, you know, and start to get into it where I could EQ things and say, okay, I could work with that, you know, because nothing worse than spending a whole crap load of money and then you can't make any money, but then there's a loss, and it's like, you know what, this is crap, you know. But I'll tell you what, I don't try to put other people down if they want to buy expensive stuff. You do what you want. If that's your money, and you got the money to do it, absolutely. And you are right. They are gonna, there is a reason why you'll pay what you pay. You do get what you pay for. But there are times when stuff will rely on a brand name and the price is like this, when really, you know, you got the price point like this, but the performance point is really like this. That's why I don't, you know. Yeah, more is more, R2, R3. More is more, you know? Noise plus more equals more noise, Michael B, yep. You know, that's just it. Peter Green, yeah. Let's see, just put the neck pickup in, let's see, Old Man Dan. Backwards, like Peter Green and Gary Moore. You know, when we bought this Les Paul, I did see the Gary Moore model hanging up, and I was thinking about maybe grabbing that. But there was something I was drawn to this guitar because of the more versatility that I know I could get out of this. So this does have, and I think you might have the same type of Les Paul too, Old Man Dan, where it's got the pull pots, and then you pull out for the out of phase. And if I pull out a clean channel here, you'll definitely hear this, you know. Now I've got the neck up I got the toggle switch for both neck and bridge pickups, so you can kind of hear it. Now if I pull my coil tapping, now here's my out of faith. You know, play that funky music, white boy. Or well, I'm not exactly playing that right. Or very superstitious. You know, I haven't played some of these cover songs in a while, so I kind of forget. See, what happens with me, I get locked into a groove. There's a couple notes I'll see. You know, I start hearing rhythms in my head, and I start running wild with that, and the next thing you know, the covers get shelved, and then this comes primarily. Except when I'm working with Mike, you know. I'll work with the songs because I want to get as close as possible. But yeah, that'd be interesting. Put when you can, old man Dan, put that up on YouTube. I want to see what that sounds like. Gary Moore and Peter Greenhill, great guitarists, but Gary Moore, man, he was awesome. Jimmy T, Dave, record earlier. Computer says D major. Oh, what D major? Yeah. I did put up a video about how to solo, like over chords. And yeah, I guess it could sound like, you know, can't you see? But it's basically learning how to arpeggiate a chord and make a melody out of it. D major, you don't have the F sharp there, but you also have F sharp here. So if you want to start with your A on the second fret on the third string, go to your D on your third fret on the second string. You could slide to your E a whole step, slide a whole step to the F sharp, and then come to the G, which is on the 8th fret, all on one string. And you can make a whole melody out of it. And actually, your solo could be like a melodic solo, you know? And a lot of times, that's all what's needed into a song. Let's see. Yeah, and now Kirk Hammett, old man Dan. Let's see. Have to head out. Hey, yeah, RJ, you have a great one, my friend. You have a great one. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to see if I'm caught up here. Yeah, Yngwie vibrato is awesome. Yeah, and that's also part to do with the scallop frets. Have you guys ever played a scallop fretboard before? I played one of those, the Yngwie model Strats. God, this was, I don't know, maybe in the late 90s, early 2000s. Anyways, it felt very weird, man. Because if you play a chord, like, ooh, it goes out of tune. Like, holy crap, what is this, you know? So you have to get used to it. But part of it is, you know, having that ability to have that extra play to push down on a note, you know? Part of it is the approach of like a violin, you know? Vibrato, slides, and all that is real important. Yeah, Yngwie did Spanish Castle Magic live, and it has some, yeah, it does, old man Dan, yep. So he does have the ability, you know. I mean, he listens to a lot of people just like we listen to, you know. That's just how that is, you know. I know there's a video of, what's his, Philip Sayce, is that his name, Philip Sayce? He's playing, Hendrix's Who Knows, you know. Da, 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 da. And anyways, he's got, you know, the Univibe going, he's got the Hendrix sound, and you see Yngwie in the background, backstage, just watching this guy, you know. So, but it's not that Yngwie couldn't do that, you know what I mean? Let's see. So is R2 locking that backwards? You know, I'm glad when R2 when you explained that, I really didn't realize that is basically, you have these two different, or I think maybe it's three different sides, because I have the WD Guitars catalog. They're a world-known company that ships parts worldwide, guitar bodies and parts and that, and they're literally a mile, not even a mile up the road. That's where I got my bridge for the Gibson here, right up the road. And but they do have the different sizes of the R2 and R3, and I think there's another size. But that is your width size on the locking nut. And I'll tell you what, R2, I appreciate all that information because I didn't know about that. Yeah, Michael B, you saw Ingve live. It just got silly after a while. Yeah, you know, Deb and I have seen Ingve live quite a few times. Let's see, I've seen him when he first came out, but when he came to Chicago at the Aragon Brawl Room, we used to call it. 1985, and Billy Sheen's band, Talus, opened up. So, reconnected. See, it's raining. The world's coming to an end. But talking about seeing Ingve live, we saw him with Ronnie James Dio, and, you know, the last time we saw him was at the House of Blues in Chicago, and then, you know, after a while, yeah, it gets kind of redundant, you know. It really does. Suave Trainer, good stuff. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up on this. EJ's Gal, you ever use an Ebo? No, I haven't, but you know what? I had thought about that. I remember the first versions of those, I want to say late 80s, maybe early 90s, somewhere around that time. I do remember them. They're really a cool device. Let's see, I gotta see something. Yeah. I'm trying to catch up, but I'll tell you what, man. Once I get blabbing, I apologize about that, guys. You know, my playing at home guitar is a Cort Strat copy. I'll tell you what, something, Janice, I'm glad you mentioned that. I used to have a black, Deb's watching me in the window. I used to have a black Cort Les Paul copy. I bought it for like $190 at a pawn shop. An absolute mint condition. You know, I mean, that thing was solid, man. Holy crap, it was a solid. Black, gold hardware, phenomenal guitar. I think I sold it for something else. You know, you go through all these goofy trade-ins, you know. It's like, once again, my goofy trade-ins. But, and I also had a Cort Explorer, like a wood finish, dark wood finish. Those guitars are great. See, isn't it interesting? You got some of these smaller companies, but because they have to try harder, they're competing with the bigger companies, they're going to work harder, or just as hard. So, to me, when I look at a guitar, the price tag, it means nothing to me, except when it's really high priced, then I'm going to expect a hell of a lot out of it, because it's going to be really embarrassing to come out with that, like my little Ibanez that we got just recently, the reverse headstock. That guitar is a workhorse, man. I'll put that guitar up against any guitar, and I know I will get probably the feedback on YouTube would be like, "You're crazy," you know, and that's fine. You know, I'm not saying that these guitars are not built good. I'm not saying that at all. You know, but what I am saying is, as a performer and reliability, those, I mean, some of was it the frameless guitars and some of these other guitars, and the oh shit, what's the other guy? He's got the amp out. Friedman guitars and all this high-end stuff. I'm not knocking it. Will never knock their craftsmanship, but it's when people want to say, if you don't play this, you're not a musician. And someone comes in the back door with a Squier Stratocaster and he annihilates. Goes over to, let's say, Gitcon. You know, with the little, like I got the solid state Hughes and Kettner Edition Blue 6. He comes in, picks up that little amp, and they stick a microphone, a Radio Shack mic, because they don't have enough money, right? A Radio Shack mic in front there. And they do the best they can with what they have. And a Squier Strat, you know, with the real cheap pickups, stock pickups, the tuners, nothing custom. They walk in there with a rig that costs under $300, but they totally kick ass. That's going to be embarrassing. That's going to just shut everybody up real quick. So is it the guitar or is it the player, right? And again, I don't judge people by what they have, you know. And even on their ability, if they have less ability than what I could do, I will still find something that they're doing that I cannot do. That's how I learn. This has got to be like entertaining. All of a sudden I'm talking and all of a sudden he froze. You know what that means, you know. But okay, like all right, when I was watching Suave Trainwreck, you know, talking about the Tone Woods, and then Robert's Guitar Dungeon. That guy, I like that guy a lot. because his reviews are just right down to earth. And I'm glad he did what he did. He did this video that he actually EQ'd it, but he didn't tell anybody, and that, it did fool me. You know, I still say the tone wood is going to have some variation. It's going to be slight, but it will have some variation because some companies like the new Ibanez I have and my Camelot guitar, the pickup is mounted directly to the body. So you're going to get a certain string vibration from the body, and it's going to affect a little bit because, you know, that's just, excuse me, that's just how it is. But yeah, overall, it's going to be the electronics that's going to really dominate over the tone woods. But like Suave Trainwreck, you know, Alnico versus Magnet versus this and that. Now, I think Suave, you work on guitars and that, and I will agree with you. A lot of people disagree with me or think I'm joking, and this is, I'm trying to catch up on this, or I'm joking, but Malmsteen really does play with incredible feeling. You know, he does, and a lot of passion. Exactly. I agree 100% with you, Suave. 100%. Because, see, here's the thing. Speed is also an emotion, and speed conveys the emotion of excitement, of, you know, go out and go. That's why heavy metals will always be popular. You know, some people will say they don't like it, and that's fine. But I'll tell you what, how many of you had to do, whether you're an over-the-road trucker or if you're a touring musician, how many times have you gone from, you know, state to state on these long ass, I mean, you're out there driving, and after a while you get so tired that the lines look like they're going like this on the road. Now you turn on the local radio station, and you need something to kind of, you know, give you away, because at least you need to make it to the rest area or to the truck stop. The last thing you need to hear is a, you know, as beautiful as some of these love songs are, I'm not knocking them, and they have the purpose. But when you're tired, you need something to give you a kick in the butt so you keep going, so you don't fall asleep and crash. That's why some of these accidents happen. People fall asleep at the wheel. What happened? There's no cars. What happened? They're off on the road. They're dead. What happened? Fatigue set in, and they fell asleep, and boom, that's what happened. Which is another thing in that movie, Bohemian Rhapsody. It showed them when they were touring, and there's the truck stop. Now, what they do with their personal life, that's not my business. But how many times Deb and I as we saw that, Deb and I looked at each other at the truck stops when we would do our road shows. We'd have to take showers in the truck stop because we had no time. You had to go from gig to gig to gig to gig, and we were self-funding everything, so, you know, we're not filthy stinking rich. But we were able to make money. See, it's not how, and it's, we were watching our expenses. That's your secret. You want to learn the secret of making money on the road? This could be a combination of negotiating that contract, which Deb and I did, and we started to get the reputation where we didn't have to go after people. People were calling us because we earned that reputation. That when we walked in these places, we did not walk in as rock stars. We walked in as, you hired us, we're going to provide the best service that your money will ever buy. Guaranteed. And whatever you want us to do, we're fine with that. We're cool with that. You know, we would have our certain, you know, things within our contract. But what we did is we built up a good business relationship with these people. And they started just calling us and calling us and calling us. Repeated business, you know. And we still were getting a repeated business, but we were relocated down here. And what was happening, the funds were kind of going like that. And when the funds were kind of going like that, you know, meaning what they could afford to pay, now our travel distance is a lot further. So, of course, we have to charge a little more because of travel distance, and it didn't really work out. But we would never be belligerent with these people. We would always honor them and always thank them, and that's why we kept getting the work. And how we presented ourselves, we would get there early. If they didn't want us to set up in that room at that time, then we didn't. If they wanted us a certain volume, we would always give them that. And then nothing but top-notch playing. Always try to get top-notch playing. So when those people left, they were like, wow, that was great. I was able to talk to my friend, and you sound great. And you know, some guys, this goes back to what I've said earlier about playing originals versus covers. And people had the misconception that if you do a corporate gig, you have to play all these covers. You got to have from these the standard book of jazz or blues or whatever pop. No, you don't. You just have to sound good, because 90% of what I've played out there was all totally 100% improvised right on the fly. That's why I use the gear that I use, because I'm able to do it with that gear. That cheap Digitech RP360 XP, because with the expression pedal, that's the XP. And running into the Digitech Jamman stereo, boom, I could just sit there all day and make stuff up. But the key is sounding good. That's the key. And reality is, those corporate gigs paid more than the club gigs because we got hired by companies that had money. That's how we were able to do this. But we'd be on that road, man. We'd be tired. We'd be tired. A lot of people, yeah, about Malmsteen, he does play with incredible feel. Now, I would like to try a fully scalped fretboard. Absolutely. Plenty of feeling in the solos and dreaming. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the stuff. R2, R3. I agree, Suave. My Jackson Kelly has a scalloped fretboard on the last 5 frets. Yeah, R2. That's like the Ibanez gem. You'll have that. So which is kind of cool, because here's reality. If a person wants to start to get used to a scalloped fretboard, buy a guitar that at least has, even if it's the last 5. So you get used to this sensation, even though the frets are small, of pushing down and judging, okay, what's going on. Or buy yourself, go to a pawn shop, and buy the cheapest, or Guitar Center, or the absolute cheapest first act, and then experiment with that. And then little by little, start to, experiment. Because just remember, once you start that scallop fretboard, you're gonna unscallop it. At least if someone does know how to do it, hey, I'll watch that video too. Yeah, he has groove. He's got feel. Yeah, And here's the deal, guys. I have a personal friend that went on the Guitar Gods tour, and yeah, it was a buy-on. A lot of these tours are buy-on tours, okay? And I'll get into that maybe another time. But his experience with Yngwie really wasn't a good one, okay? And Yngwie was a little bit rude, okay? Especially during the sound check. A little bit rude. Now, I don't agree with the rudeness or the egotistical thing. But one thing I will say, if Yngwie is not just the person, the guitar player. He became his own brand, like Eddie Van Halen. Except Eddie Van Halen now has all his guitars and his amps. But my point is, he's the band leader. It's coming out of his pocket. He's paying all these musicians. He needs to turn a profit. So he gets the idea to rent out, because this is exactly how it is. You rent out these halls. If you know that you could sell it. See, this is the whole point with original music. Write something. Don't be afraid. Grow with it. Every time you grow, you get better and better. But see, with your music, you could sell your music. You could sell you. Or if you have a really good act that you're going to do a dedication to an incredibly popular person, where you could sell out across the country. And if one way you could do this is pick an act that even senior citizens would go to, because you're going to be surprised how much you'll pack that house with senior citizens. You will not believe it, my friends. When we played in Schaumburg, Illinois, at Chandler Steakhouse, we packed the place. At was it in Bolingbrook? I think it was, or Joliet, White Fence Farm. We packed the place. I teamed up with this vocalist that was doing Karen Carpenter songs. You're probably thinking, oh, dude, that's kind of like lame. Okay. The chord progressions were great. I was able to, it's again another style of music I grew up listening to as a kid. But we were able to make some good money. So that's one way of it. But my point is, if you're gonna sell yourself, write your originals, then when you go across country, you got to rent out these places. And basically, what I'm saying is, what Yngwie, he still needs to turn that profit, because he's got to rent out. If it's be something that's under his name, And he's saying, okay, I'm going to sponsor. I got this idea, Guitar Gods. Who's in charge of Guitar Gods? If it's going to be ran by Ingve and his wife April, okay, they get together and they get together with their lawyer and you know and the tour manager. They got the tour manager, but they plan this whole thing out because there are expenses. And before I log off, I got to share this with you. The expenses, you got to look at the facts. You have to, because you will put yourself to the poorhouse so fast it isn't funny. So he has to be a little bit firm because it's his money. Now, Friday, down here, there's a guy named Brian Kilmeade. He's actually on Fox and Friends, on the Fox and Friends in the morning, but he's got a radio show. He had on one of his guests, John Rich from Big and Rich. And John Rich, he's a country musician, but he also has a side business with whiskey. And all of his whiskey is 100% made in America. The jars that he bottles it in, 100% made in America. Sorry, I'm going to turn that. Made in America. But he said something that I wish a lot of people would say. A lot of people that are known people, because when people like us who are really not that known, when we say it, it's kind of like themed. They're like, well, how do we know what you're saying is true, Dave? And, you know, blah, blah, blah. The reality is, what this guy said, he tells his musician friends, okay, when he hears musicians that are in this business, and they're in this business because, number one, they love to do what they do, but they turned their passion into a business. And then he talks with them and he says, well, I'm only in it for the music. He says, no. You better also keep your eye on the ball about the business side, because you could be out so fast you won't even know you're out. Now your stuff's in the pawn shop and you're trying to play catch up. Oh crap, now what do I do? You know what I mean? So he said, you always got to look at that. That's why it's important to have another outlet. You got to have that backup plan, because this is a fluctuating income big time. And he said, you have to look at your net, not your gross. Musicians make the huge mistake if they look at gross. Yes, so and so is worth this much money. So and so is worth that. I'm going to be worth that much money. I'm going to take a second mortgage out of my house. I'm going to invest in this because I read that so and so is worth this. You're reading their gross. You're not reading their net. What are they actually putting in the bank? And I was so thankful to hear this guy say this, because it's something that needs to be understood, because there's nothing worse than people going through their life savings and in their 50s or in their 60s, and it's so hard just to get a job at that age. Sometimes it is. Now you got to play catch up with your life, and there's nothing worse than seeing people just go down. They believe a pipe dream, an empty pipe dream. And I'm not trying to knock anybody or make fun of anybody or ridicule anybody, but these are facts, and that's why you hear me often say this, because I've seen it, and it's nothing worse than seeing people going on that road. But see, other than that, this is, man, nothing like plugging in and playing, or picking up the acoustic guitar and just playing, man. You know. Let's see. Before I hang it up here. Let's see, guys. Okay, so I'm catching up now. Yeah, I agree with Suave. My Jackson Kelly, yep, has the fretboard. I agreed. Old Man Dan. So Trey McKee has groove and feel. He just needs to show more of it these days. Yeah, you know, Old Man Dan, absolutely. I agree. I think Ingve, like Michelangelo Badio, they have a show, and this is what it is, okay? But now, you will run that show into the ground, and after a while, how many times do you want to go out and see the same thing? I mean, it happens with me. You know, there are times we're doing our show, and sometimes we haven't had a whole lot of time to get together to go over new material. So it's like, okay, I put up on YouTube, and it's like, okay, I already saw that. And I go through the same thing. I watch some of my own stuff. It's like, okay, I don't watch, excuse me, I don't watch some of my stuff all the time, all the way through. I only do it so I could critique what I need to do. If something inspires me, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. But yeah, everyone does have to evolve and grow. Let's see. Boy, I tell you what, I know I'm rambling on. Pretty sure Steve Vai was recently playing a gem with light scalloping over. Yeah, I think he was. I think he was. Matter of fact, Generation X, I saw a video of them playing. Oh crap! A Bohemian Rhapsody, which was interesting, maybe to give a little tribute to the movie and that. But what other song were they were playing? And I saw, and Steve Vai he had his gem, but it was more like a sparkle finish. Yeah. Let's see. I think you're right, old man Dan. Recent playing has been different. Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, and yeah, old man Dan. Yeah, I got the idea. Uh, Appreciating for Richie Blackmore because Richie had a scallop fretboard. But yeah, I think what's going to happen, guys, with this whole shred thing, it's going to start to go back to the days of speed bursts, but very emotional playing. Speed bursts, emotional playing. You know what I mean? Because that's what really grabs a person is that feeling right there. And actually, and now that okay, Christmas break will be coming up, so when I'm done with the Christmas song, we have a new gig at a gig at a new place down here in Florida. Mike and I for RUI, so we'll have material. We'll go over there, but I will start to put up stuff. Well, even I might start with Clifford Dover's, and I'll start to play the intro, but I'm gonna do it slow, but with a lot of expression, and little by little, and hopefully that could help other people who get frustrated in playing to let them know that all right, you have to play it slow to get the control of it, but there's something magical when you grab something slow. You put in a lot more emotion to it, and if you could start to like yourself playing slow, even if it's Eruption playing it slow, but with a lot of expression, what's going to happen? You are going to enjoy yourself playing that because you got so much expression and emotion and feeling going into it. You're going to start to like it, and what's going to happen? You're not going to want to rush through it. And I'm not saying you're not going to want to play it to its tempo, but over the course of time, you are naturally going to be able to develop that technique so that when you do play it fast, bam, it's going to come right out because you have the control. That's the whole thing. Why people should play slow to gain control. And then start to also get used to the speed bursts and that, Yeah, Richie. Yeah, Richie was very entertaining player. Don't know how he stayed in tune. Yeah, boy, I'll tell you what, man. Yeah, Jimmy T. We didn't have a whole lot of anything back then, you know. We had the whole thing was if you couldn't afford the Boss pedal, you bought the DoD pedal, or Electro Harmonics Big Muffin. After a while, it would the output jack would either go bad or the foot switch, and then when you step on it, go, or like the first version of the Proco Rat distortion. I plugged that and run it into my Lab Series L5 amp that I had, in my multiple trading of amps, of course. Being stupid, Yeah, good point. That's often overlooked. Yeah, I agree with you, old man Dan. He was, yep. Let's see. That video ticked me off, Trainwreck. I knew they were two different guitars. Oh, yeah. That's not fair with the. Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I know what you're saying, Suave. With I think you're referring to Robert Guitar Dungeon when you did the EQing and the tone woods. Yeah, but he did a video. He posted a video I just watched where he was explaining, okay, the reason why he did that. It's kind of prove a point, I guess. What I do appreciate with with Robert's Guitar Dungeon, what he does, what he brings to the platform. He's not trying to be a super channel. He's just him, and he will respond. You put in a comment, he'll respond to your comment. Some people with these super channels, and I'm not saying that they got so many subscribers that they can't. But after a while, it's like, okay, why should I watch this guy? I'm not getting a comment if I'm asking a certain question. If do you remember this and does it do that? And you're not getting a response. Now, again, sometimes I cannot respond to everybody's question and comments, and I do feel bad about that. It's only because the hours in the day got cut short. No, well, okay, Suave Trimac. What I mean about Malmsteen is he has great vibrato and slides nicely into notes. Yeah, from out of nowhere at a time. He does get some nice violin type. Yeah, he does. Old man Dan just listened to Blackmore's Night. Yeah, you know what? Deb and I, we've seen them live, Blackmore's Night, the Renaissance side. And they did a Renaissance version of Sweet Child in Time. That was awesome. That was real awesome. I know I did say now. See, you got me kind of remember. Oh, you've got mail. Okay. Yeah, Jason. Let's see. I'm just trying to catch up on some chats because, man, I'll tell you what. Really tall frets aren't a whole lot different than You're right. I still have one guitar that's slightly scalloped. My old Ibanez Artist Suave used to have jumbo frets. Jumbo frets, half bone, half brass nut, a sustain block underneath the bridge. Now the one I had was a 1978 model, so it was a little bit thinner, arch top. Super 88 pickups. Those are the pickups with the flying fingers. Tritone switches, so it was out of phase and coil tapping as well. But man, it was a workhorse guitar. I was a dummy for trading that. And Soda Pop made his own scallop neck. Impressive. Hey, I gotta check that out. Jason Way, you should look into playing at the Villages up the road from in between. Oh yeah, that's right. Every night I was there, it was hopping with with Senior dancing away. Yeah, I'll tell you what. It's so weird to see. It is so weird to see someone in their 60s and 70s go, yeah, I want to hear some Van Halen. I want to hear some Black Sabbath. I mean, it's weird because in my mind, that goes back to when I started playing, and in that time frame, when you looked at a person that had gray hair, they were very conservative. Even the thought of you could be playing jazz on an electric guitar. That's an evil instrument. You know what I mean? That was the mindset. But see, now it's 2018 and everyone's got older, so it kind of blows my mind. It's like after a while you think time stayed still. Yeah, Dave, I think you and I should play a gig on Fox. Yeah, that'd be awesome, Slav. Yeah. I'd be up for that, my friend. Yeah, I'd definitely be up for that one. You know, I'm not. Some people you get intimidated when you see a superstar or a musician an iconic musician, or let's say a sports person. But after a while, the reason why I'm not as intimidated as I might have thought I would be is because we've done so many of them where we would actually be mingling with these people or playing for these people. Or when I was at NATO, playing for NATO, and I'm looking in the audience and everyone I'm seeing is, and they're on the news all the time. Like, you know what I mean? It's different. It's different when you're there, and then when you start talking to them, a lot of them are real down to earth people. It's really weird when they find interest in what you're doing. It's like, to them you're the star, but you're looking at them like, but these are people I see on TV. It's really hard to wrap my mind around all that. But what has helped me to get over that fear of playing with somebody that's a superstar or whatever the case might be, is that I'm there to do this job. I'm going to do the best I can because that's what I've been hired to do. And I love what I'm doing. And to me, it's a gift from Almighty God, whether a person believes or not believes. I'm not trying to jam religion down on anybody. But that person puts their drawers on one leg at a time like I do. And I started, like a lot of people, start looking at it this way. When you buy their CDs, their music books, or their signature guitars, or their brand, you're helping support that person. So it doesn't mean that you got the right to step over them, but at the same time, they should not have that right to step over on you. There's got to be mutual respect. And when you're on that stage with these people, there's mutual respect. Now, I've bumped heads with a few people. And I've let them know that, hey, I'll respect you, but don't treat me like a doormat, because that's not going to fly with me. Sometimes I've said certain things that could, kind of piss people off, but you know what? Sometimes you got to give some of these people a kick in their ass, and in front of people. Sometimes you have to, because their inflated ego got so big. You come with that little pin, like a balloon, and poof, and then watch it, they blow all over the place. and they look kind of foolish. But I'll tell you what, sometimes it can backfire on you, but where it doesn't backfire on you is that that person will never forget you. Maybe they'll never let you in their little circle of friends. That's okay. They can keep their circle of friends. Because if that's what I have to do to be popular, if I've got to step over people to be popular, I'd rather not. Because that's not who I am. No way. No way. But sometimes what helps those people that have that type of mindset, they're going to realize you're not the only person out there that has a strong personality. They're going to run into other people. And that's when you start losing their popularity and you start realizing maybe I should change my ways and stop pissing over people, you know. I had seen an experience at the NAMM show when I was at it in Chicago. A very famous studio musician. I mean, I respected this guy. I used to read his articles all the time in Guitar Player magazine. He's been on thousands of commercials and TV shows and that. And I lost a lot of respect for this guy when a guy came in with his Ibanez Destroyer, who was a very working class guy. If he was in a band, no one knew what band he was in, local band maybe, and he was just very, very respectful that he was meeting this famous guitar player, to the point where it was an honor for this famous guitar player to play his guitar. You know, I look up to you, man. I really respect you. And what did this guy do? He grabs the guy's guitar. What the hell's wrong with this piece of crap? Holy, I can't play this. This is garbage and that. Right in front of this guy. And in front of everybody that's watching. I saw that. I was a guest there in the Gibson booth. I didn't say anything. At that time, I really didn't develop my straightforward personality, I think. I think if I would have been there now, I might have pulled that guy aside and at least pull him aside and say, don't ever do that to people. I don't care what your claim to fame is. Don't degrade people. You know, that's wrong to do. And then if he would turn on me, I would have yelled it and I would have got thrown out of NAMM, but who cares, right? Sometimes you have to do that to people. Sometimes you have to set them straight, because if you don't, they will continue and continue and continue. And to degrade a person publicly, no way, man. No way. Sorry, guys, about that little rant, but yeah. Anyway, I think yeah, Fox and Friends, yeah. Yeah. Only after we try that guy's whiskey. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The artist was a great guitar. Yeah, Suave. It really was, man. Especially those early versions of Ibanez guitars. I mean, Ibanez 100% pulled back and said everything 100% Ibanez. That's why I respect that company so much. You know, they're not trying to be like this company that is pumping out these chips in guitars, you know. And I know there's some people in maybe the guitar community that will disagree with me, and that's fine. I do like what's called the Chinese guitar skeptic. He bought those guitars to show what's going on. He didn't buy them to support that company. Now, the day that I buy their guitars is the day that they put their personal name on their headstock, and even if they say proudly made in China. You know, you got good guitar makers over in China. You really do. But my problem is when you put Gibson on there, made in USA, or the Fender Yngwie Malmsteen Strat, signature Strat with his signature on there, with the serial number, made in America, that it's almost, and you sell the guitar for $130 or whatever the hell it is. It's like your intention is bad, like to rip people off, and there's no way I would support anything like that. Because it would be easy to rip a person off. Because if they don't know exactly what to look for, right, a quick glance at, man, it looks like a Gibson Les Paul. And the guy says, man, I've fallen on hard times. I paid $3,000 for this guitar. Just give me $1,000 or $1,200. If you get just these $1,200, it's yours. It's in mint condition. And you fall for it, and the guy only paid maybe $300 for it. You know how wrong that is? That's why I speak up when I speak up. And I can't apologize for that. And if it makes people turn off to my channel or whatever, I'm not trying to do that, but I try to warn people that you got snakes out there. Not everything is fluff and everything's wonderful. It isn't. And that's what you have to be aware of. Nothing worse than you take a mortgage out on your house and you think it's your dream boat is coming in and you find out it's the Titanic, you know? Let's see. Dave, would you like all my snow? Todd is soda pop to retire before I croak. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Especially in the summertime down here, Todd, aka Soda Pop. I'll tell you what. That's when you really need the snow down here, because wow, does it get hot? I mean, it gets like, dude, you come out and you melt. It's so weird. You get used to it, you know. I gotta check out your scallop guitar. Yeah, we gotta check that out. Yeah, Suave also mentioned about Soda Pop's guitar. I think Suave. I think you do, which I didn't realize until I started watching some of your videos. It's like you do repairs and you work. And I agree with you. Some of these electronics that come in, you got these super EQs, this that. It's got to be a pain in the ass to work on. Just been promoting. Hey, there's nothing wrong with promoting each other. That's what it's all about. Oh, your video's gone for that. Ah, Soda Pop. Cyber, what's happening? I apologize if I haven't seen your icon in the chat. You know, I always like to try to, uh, no skills here, just not afraid to try things. You know what? There you go. Not afraid to try things, man. Because that's how you build your skills. By making those mistakes. You can never be afraid of them. If you're afraid of making a mistake, then it's gonna be real hard to succeed at things. Because everyone, that's part of growing, you know. So I will pay $12,000 if you Well, there you go. Suave offers $12,000. I won't put you on the spot on that one, my friend. Wish I downloaded that one. Yeah. Let's see. Funky Jam for 12K. Yeah. Scallop. Todd says scallop.